So welcome everyone. This is the presentation for WildTrax 2.0. I'll just make sure that we're all set up here. And yeah, thanks for everyone for joining. I'm looking forward to kind of giving you guys a sneak peek into what's happening with WildTrax over the last year or so. And like I mentioned, we're going to see some big changes to both the infrastructure and the backend infrastructure of the user interface and the backend infrastructure of WildTrax. And so I'm looking forward to sharing a whole bunch of details with you guys today. So of course, ECCC has been our main funder for the system over the last 7 years. And over the course of that time, we've continued to see really great growth and impact in terms of contributing to open data and environmental sensor data sets. You can see here the public data map is getting larger and larger as the days go on. And this does represent a huge diverse set of people that are using the system for using environmental sensors and environmental sensor data. So year over end, you can see some of these percentage increases here. So 27% user increase, 75% user increase in organizations that have been created, almost 95% increase in projects that have been created over the last year, which is, obviously a great effort across the board of different people that are coming together to contribute and work together towards environmental sensor data. But we do have quite a large system from when we first started. I remember the days when we were just 20, 25 users in the system, and now we have over 4,000 worldwide. And we definitely see that both on the usage standpoint and the folks that we interact with on a daily basis who have questions or concerns or issues with the system. We're responding to more and more people every day. And it's been a significant impact, at least in bringing all that data together. And of course, as I mentioned, ECCC and CWS being our main contributors to data within the system. There's a lot of increase in amount of data that's collaboratively being worked together on. And as you can see, even by the amount of media that we've collected, over 2 million recordings, over 140 million images now in the system, comprising of about 130 terabytes of media. And as I mentioned, this is only going to grow over the next little while as we see changes to the infrastructure. So again, what I'll talk about today is our spring release of WildTrax 2.0, what we're calling internally here. But what you need to know is that there's just going to be a major interface and backend infrastructure overhaul to the system. So kind of a screenshot here quickly of an ARU project. You can see that the user interface has changed quite a bit. We've made things a lot cleaner, a lot sleeker, a lot more user efficient. And you'll see that over the course of the presentation with some new features that are going to be available here. So we'll take a sneak peek. We'll start with organizations, that top level of infrastructure that's on the user interface, and go over just some of the key new features in the organizations before we move on to more specific stuff in projects. So starting with the global menu options, you're going to see at the top level of the organizations and the projects a much more user efficient way of being able to get some of the data that you're looking for and provide consistency and ease of navigation across the platform. These global menus are going to allow key features and tools from any section, such as organizations or projects, to be available both in the project view, but also on the dashboards, so that it can help to retrace the steps needed in order between switching context between your organization dashboard and a project, for example. This is helping to enhance the user experience to provide some more seamless workflows, so you can do things like sync locations at the organization dashboard rather than having to actually enter an organization specifically to do that task, which is the way you see it now in the production site. As we are kind of developing that, again, we'll have different tools and features available both at the project and organization levels that will be specific to those tasks within the system. You'll see a new tab within the organization called Location Equipment, and this is to provide users with an intuitive view to allow for easily tracing and accessing information related to equipment that you've deployed across the landscape or at a location. So essentially what it is, it's a history of all of your equipment and the locations that are being surveyed over time. These enhancements are also going to help provide people just better ways of being able to look through their equipment and what it's been doing over time to help to trace its condition and also its usage across the platform. These enhancements at the location equipment level will also help to support the future monitoring of cavity and nest monitoring and colony monitoring species, which what we're working on. And you'll see additions for that within the target feature field. So new target features such as cavities or sea cliffs will be introduced, along with the relevant metadata for that. So the distance to the cliff, the cavity height, or the size of the cavity to help to better facilitate those monitoring efforts for these species within the organization. When FISIT metadata enhancements are applied, you'll see again some new fields and views that'll be available depending on the type of sensor data that you're collecting. These updates are going to help to provide dataset connectivity, particularly with the alignment with N8BAT. So providing fields such as distance to water, clutter percentage, and distance to clutter are all key fields in order to help to align that data within the N8BAT program. And so both at the visit level and the location and equipment levels, you'll see those enhanced metadata fields so that you can more easily search and view and filter the data that you're looking for within these different sections of the organization. However, most importantly, the biggest changes you're going to see at the organization level are going to be at the recordings tab. And this is meant to be to help to support the mass acoustic and task selection parameters that we're working towards to help to not only allow people to upload subsets of acoustic data into the system, but allow you to upload all of your acoustic data and then choose from the recordings that you have in order to make the projects and the questions that you're trying to answer. So a little bit more on that. When we mean mass acoustic, we are trying to move towards the ability of folks and clients and users of the system to be able to upload all of their acoustic data and not just the subset that they intend to process using human tags, but also to be able to take advantage of a lot of the different value-added features in the system to upload all of your acoustic data. With this, we have a new University of Alberta data center that is opening up with petabytes of expandable space. And the idea here is that this is going to allow a quick way to retrieve the data from the system, allow you to access and look through the results without having to necessarily wait for a server what's farther away. And this will be able to increase performance in terms of using the system for those mass acoustic contexts. Kind of under that same sort of light, we're still going to have the Amazon S3 as an option, our international option for data storage, although it is going to be significantly more expensive compared to the WildTrax Live option. Following kind of the philosophy of a 3-2-1 data storage policy, which does recommend keeping at least 3 copies of your data, 2 different storage types, and 1 backup offsite, WildTrax is going to help to address these by offering those 2 copies of data via WildTrax Live and Amazon Deep Glacier. Each storage option is also part of a distinct array system, which allows at least 1 copy to be stored offsite, either through WildTrax or through the Deep Glacier option. And again, as I mentioned, for users who are unable to use this Canadian storage option, Amazon S3 will also be available. And so the idea here is that you're able to quickly access your data on a Canadian-based server through the WildTrax Live server that's being built, and then also have those Deep Glacier backups. So if ever there was any catastrophic failure of your local data or the data on the servers here at the U of A, there'd always be the Deep Glacier option in the end to try to construct that 3-2-1 rule that we have here. Again, within the recordings tab, you're going to see this new filters panel that pops up right at the top of the view field that you see here. And what this allows you is to be able to filter those recordings so that you can more effectively create tasks for projects for the data that you're trying, or for the questions that you're trying to answer. And so effectively within the filter panel, you're going to have a series of different groups of filters available for you. On the species note, you'll be able to look through recordings that are already been tagged and look through those recordings and create projects with the recordings that have already had human tags in them. However, you can also take advantage of the artificial intelligence tools that are going to run through all of the recordings that you upload into the system and be able to select from those artificial intelligence results also to create projects. So for example, here we have both the BirdNet and the new artificial intelligence acoustics classifier, Hawk Ears, a North American classifier, with the results that will be available where you can go in, select the species that you're interested in, adjust the confidence thresholds that you wish to look through those recordings with, and then upload them to your projects, which I'll show you in a moment. Some more filters that'll be available is a new global weather API that we have, so that you can select from data from not only across Canada, but across the world for any location that you're surveying, as long as the location, of course, has spatial coordinates in the system. This is going to give you both daily and hourly weather conditions for the nearest for the nearest hour of the recording that you're uploading into the system. And we're also exploring additional visit level conditions because we recognize that people are still conducting digital point counts and taking weather measurements at the locations that they're surveying. And so we'll be able to, in the future, provide better ways of incorporating that point level data with the weather data that we have to better infer what's happening at the recording level for that type of weather and noise. As I mentioned, there's going to be a whole bunch of other features available. So you'll be able to filter recordings by latitude and longitude, land features that you've indicated at the site, astronomical features such as sunrise and sunset and moonrise and moonset and moon phase within the recordings, recording level properties themselves. So selecting recordings by the hour or the day or the month that they occur, and audio level settings as well, such as RMS peak and level that you'll see available in those task selection filters. So the sort of procedures that we're kind of moving towards for this mass acoustic data is to first, of course, create an organization and create your projects as your baseline for what you're going to be setting up for your data. Taking all of your media, uploading it all into the system. And so you'd be doing that at the organization level because the organizations own those recordings, and that you can from there go in and filter and select all those recordings based on the desired criteria for your project. And then we have this nice little shopping cart where you can pick from the recordings that you filtered, add them to your cart, and then generate the tasks that you want for the project that you've selected using the method, the task length, and the users that you want to assign to the recordings for that project as well. Of course, we'll still have the ability to upload recordings directly to a project if you choose to only want the subset uploaded, and task sync will also be available. So if you have recordings that you want to sync in a different way within a project, you can still do that. This generate task functionality is just sort of adding some more enhancements and value added features so that people can really easily create these projects depending on the criteria that they're looking for. So really looking forward to this great tool. It's going to really change the game in terms of how projects and data are organized and created. And we'll be able to expand on this generate task functionality in the future to provide more options and more performance to be able to do this en masse with the mass acoustic data. Kind of jumping now below to the projects level, there's going to be, again, some enhancements that you'll see here. Just within the screenshot, you can see once again, the user interface has changed quite a bit. Things are a lot cleaner, a lot sleeker, easier to find. The global menu options are there available as well within the project dashboard, then again within the project. The one big thing to note about the global menu at the project level is that we've removed the data downloads section of the website, and we've since replaced it with the ability to download reports within the project dashboard more easily. So from here, you can go in, you can filter and look for any projects that you're interested in, multi-select the projects, and then download multiple reports within the project dashboard itself. So this is going to be a really quick and easy way to be able to get the data that you want from the system without having to, again, navigate through those different steps in data download like we have them right now. Within the global menu options, you can also do some multi-selection functions in terms of auditing, editing tasks, and downloading recordings at the project level. So from here, you can select multiple tasks and then have a menu pop up, which drops down all of the information for auditing or task editing. Again, making it easier to be able to do things in batch within the system. So if you have to edit or add information to multiple different tasks, you can do it right here within those global menu options as well. As far as to contribute to people and incentivizing people to publish their data within the system, we have also the new DOI tabs at the project level, which will allow you to create a DOI for a project within the system, add a description, a publication year, which will then help to be able to supply easier ways of being able to access data, especially for large published projects. So we recognize the fact that a camera project might have millions of images, a point count project might have thousands of surveys, which then comprises millions of rows of point count data. And so we want to be able to provide better ways of being able to access the data quickly, especially for folks who are doing large analyses or have to bring lots of projects together. We want to be able to increase the performance there. And so some of this will help to contribute to that into the future. Of course, all the published data that it exists in WildTrax is being pulled by Nature Counts as part of the Canadian initiative. And so any of the published data that you see in WildTrax is regularly pulled and available within the Nature Counts website. And so if you go on Nature Counts today and you search for the WildTrax project, you'll see lots of the similar public data that's in WildTrax, but also in Nature Counts. And really, this is meant to be increasing the ability, the accessibility, and the networking for these different data that come together to help you improve forward decision making and policy for species across the world or across the country. Okay, jumping one level lower now, we're going into acoustic processing. So lots of stuff again has changed here. I'll kind of take it one step at a time and just describe the different new features that are available. But you're going to see, again, lots of great new functionality in the acoustic processing interface, big overhaul, lots of great changes that I'm hoping that you'll be excited about. Starting again, as we mentioned, we have that new global weather API that's available. And so you'll see changes to the interface in terms of the weather and astronomical conditions of these recordings. So you'll get your weather location, the temperature, wind speed, precipitation, and then the astronomical conditions that you see here too. So you'll know how close you are to sunrise and sunset, what the moon phase is. So if you ever want to create a project that is, I want to listen to all the recordings at the new moon and all the recordings at the full moon, you'll be able to pick and select from those recordings at the organization level, and then be able to look through those results here on the acoustic processing page. We've changed the mapping functionalities as well so that they point directly to Data Discover. So when you select the map button within the acoustic processing interface, it'll direct you directly to Data Discover so you can see the data from that entire project. We're working on some different enhancements and features here so that you can see things like location names, the locations that you're hovering on within Data Discover, to allow you to be able to get a little bit more context behind where this data is being processed within the project itself. Some new drawers and hotkeys will be available too within the acoustic processing. So just a better gallery view for the photos that you wish to upload into the system. These are just courtesy of Jasper National Park here, but these are great photos to have for the context when you are actually processing the data. I know that transcribers really appreciate being able to sometimes see the context of where they're processing the data as they're looking through a recording or listening through a recording. So we'll be able to see those a little bit more easily within this new gallery view. The hotkeys are also going to be accessible so that you can just hit a quick P and get the photo galleries, hit a quick S and get the audio settings panel to pop up, and change those recordings dynamically as you need to within the recording. So as a reminder, dynamic spectrograms are available in the acoustic processing interface. So if you want to change the frequency range of a recording from, let's say, 0 to 200 hertz, because you're only interested in looking in a rough grouse drumming, you can really easily do that within the acoustic settings, audio settings interface. As far as a big change that we have implemented is around noise attribution. And so right now, there's a lot of different ways that you can identify noise on a recording. You can put it in the task info panel, you can have a bad weather task, and you can also do tagging of those noises within a recording. However, just to kind of streamline and make these processes a little bit more efficient, we've created the new noise attribution panel pop-up, where you can go inside of the recording, really easily add a noise, indicate both its amplitude, frequency, and the channel that it's affecting in the recording. And then as you do that, you get a little pop-up above the spectrogram that tells you the intensity of that sound, so the amplitude, so that you can just a little bit more easily see and attribute noise that you're getting on the recording without having to do it in a lot of different places. With that being said, that does make the task completion a little bit more of an easier thing to do in a recording now. It's essentially just a Boolean value. So instead of indicating that a recording is, or a task is malfunctioning or bad weather or it's in progress, it's essentially just one of two states now. It's either incomplete or it's complete. And so you're able to more easily, get through recordings, add those noise values in the recording if you don't want to process it, and then move on to the next one. And then that way, if somebody needs to know about why the recording wasn't processed or why there's less species detection in a recording, these noise values and these noise attribution will be able to help with that. And so again, you'll see a lot of different icons available for wind and rain and ocean noise and industrial noise. and much more within this NOI panel here. Okay, moving on to the artificial intelligence overlays, which we'll talk about in detail. But I wanted to just start off by mentioning that we'll have two multi-species classifiers available within the acoustic interface, both updating BirdNet and the new Hawk-Ears AI, which is, as I mentioned, a North American version of a multi-species classifier with great performance so far. And what we're going to do within the system is in terms of not only allowing people to see the results of these overlays, we're going to provide a little bit more information and direction to help people to best use the AI within the system. So what do the scores mean? Does it cost anything to use, et cetera, et cetera? These will all be frequently asked questions that will be available within the system to help users to take advantage of the AI as the best they can for the questions that they're trying to answer. There'll be kind of three levels of usage of the AI as well. At the organization level, we're going to default the activation of the AI to on for everything. So this essentially means that any recording that you upload into the system, it's going to automatically run through the AI and give you those results at the organization level in the recordings table, so that anybody can go in, see the results of the AI that they have for them, and then create and generate projects accordingly. However, at the project level, an administrator may not want somebody to actually see those AI results, in which case the administrators of a project would have the ability to turn off the AI overlay that's in the acoustic processing interface, or keep it on, which is the default right now as well. Finally, at the task level, again, the AI overlay won't be available by default, but should a user want to see the AI results within a recording as they're processing it, they can simply click the AI button. It'll give them their two AIs or their three AIs that are available. We'll have BirdNet, the old version, BirdNet, the new version for some of the data that's already been run through, and then be able to adjust those confidence thresholds accordingly. So if they want to only see, Hawk-Ears results above 70%, then that's all they'll get within the overlay itself. So to kind of dive deeper into this, again, the AI overlay will exist just above the spectrogram here. You'll see that they're broken up into these 1.5 second windows. And so what you're seeing here within the overlay interface is that the AI, so BirdNet, detected a bay-breasted warbler within the first 1.5 seconds, within the first 3 seconds, within this interval here in the recording. And of course, you can see a really clear bay-breasted warbler that the humans also detected. So this is sort of the premise of how the overlay works. And that, again, you'll have the multiple AIs available for a single recording as well. Once you, again, click that AI button, you'll be able to adjust the confidence threshold, and there'll be a little bit more information about each AI as well, so folks are a little bit more familiar with it. But that you can see here that the human tags and the AI overlay tags don't necessarily align with each other perfectly. And so this is where, you really want to be able to take advantage of the AI overlay from both the human perspective and the AI perspective, where that you don't necessarily want to take, the first detection or the best detection of a recording. It's going to have that human kind of computer collaboration, depending on the questions that you're looking to answer. But here you can see, we've got some great detections of bay-breasted warbler by both the human and the AI here. We've got another great detection of a Cape May warbler with, again, human and AI. But then the AI is, of course, continuing to detect these strong signals of bay-breasted warbler through the course of the recording because they're continuing to occur. But just because this is a time of first detection recording, the human's only going to detect the first instance of the bay-breasted and then the second instance, et cetera. So you're going to get more results from the AI depending on the thresholds that you use for the species that you see in those recordings. Here's an example, though, where you are going to get situations where the AI is probably not going to detect the species that you're looking for. So here's a fox sparrow just down here, but neither BirdNet nor AI was able to find the fox sparrow, but the human was able to. And then here's another instance where we have a Tennessee warbler that was detected, about 7 or 8 seconds within the recording. But it was actually detected a little bit earlier once you have to go back and check it here. But that the AI didn't actually detect either of those Tennessee warbler instances just because it's faint, it's obstructed, it's in the background, and that you've got way better performance on these ones that are clearer, stronger signals within the recording here. Just kind of another example, because you can do project species within a project itself, and so this means that you don't necessarily have to look for all species using the AI. If you're only interested in a singular species, you only add that one species to your project, and then the AI will only retrieve the results and filter those results out. So in this case, for the project where we only have common nighthawks here, you're going to run into those situations where, again, you need to use that human computer collaboration to try to get the best bang for your buck for the results you might be interested in. So here in the recording, we can see this common nighthawk is painting, at about 3 or 4 seconds within the recording. And so this would be the first detection that a human actually found within the recording here, where I would draw a box and say, yes, this is my nighthawk. However, you can tell that we do have a lesser yellow legs that's screaming in the foreground, and it's really drowning out that ability to detect those paints in the background a little bit more clearly. And so the first detection by BirdNet is going to be a little bit later in the recording, when you can see the signal behind the nighthawk is starting to get a little bit more stronger, a little clearer. And so it's able to pull it out from that foreground noise. But that we didn't get a detection from hawk ears in this case. And so these are just the kind of results that you're going to want to play around with and look at our recommendations for, depending on the questions that you're looking at. Because if presence of nighthawk on this recording is the question that you're trying to answer, then the AI is definitely finding it. But if you're looking for time of first detection, it's going to be a little bit earlier in this recordings. So depending on the questions you want to ask, will depend on how you want to use the AI overlays in this case. And you can see here's a great example of how the noise panel will work out, where we have the intensity of sounds a little bit stronger in the traffic side of things and industrial noise side of things, and a little bit weaker in the other categories that are available here. Moving into species verification side of acoustic processing, we're going to have the ability to, again, you'll see that beautiful new filter panel that you're going to see everywhere across the site. That'll be available in species verification as well. So you can now filter and sort by the classifier results that you get, the verification status of the tags, the location, the observer, and many more filters that are going to be available here within species verification, just to try to refine the ability of when you have thousands or hundreds of tags that you have to verify at a species level, which ones do you verify? There's going to be some better tools to be able to do that with. There'll be also the ability to hide species from verification using the project sync functions. So if there's a series of tags that you don't want to see for the verification part of things, you can omit them from the interface by default, and also filter out tags created by the observer who already processed this recording. So if I was going in and processing all these tags for Barrett Sparrow, and then I went and go and check my own tags, well, of course I want them to be right, so I'm going to verify them. But we want to be able to provide some better controls for that type of data. So being able to filter those out by the person that created the tags versus the person that are verifying them, will be more streamlined as well. On the camera sensor side of things, functionality isn't going to change too much, but we again have completely overhauled, the user interface to make it cleaner, sexier, more efficient to use. The image uploader has been overhauled in terms of the efficiency of uploading images into the system with lots of different quality control cross checks. Simplifying the user interface. So again, that famous filter panel is going to be here as well to allow you to select from different filters you want to see within the images. The global menu options and the filter pop-ups, again, will be available on the camera side of things. There'll be new behavioral options to help to support, again, the tree and cavity nesting monitoring direction that we want to head in, so that if you are taking pictures of a cavity of a pileated woodpecker, you'll be able to go into the details of what's actually happening at that cavity. So bird entering cavity, bird exiting cavity, bird bringing food to young, et cetera, et cetera. There'll be development of that over the course of the next little while, so that we can really enhance the camera sensor to be functional for not just the standard ecosystem health type monitoring, but a lot of different ways that people like to use cameras. And so really this boils down to the customize how you want, share when you want kind of philosophy behind the camera sensors, so that you can have the ability to tag different individual level, image level options within a project, have the pre-processing settings set up, and then take advantage of the things such as image blurring in case your data is sensitive. so that you can, yeah, use anything that you want within the system, customize it how you want. And then really the advantage of using WildTrax for your camera data is that you can publish and share this data when you're ready as well. And finally, we don't want to forget about the point count sensor. It also took a little bit of an overhaul this year too. And so we have again, the same weather panel that you see up top for consistency. The surveys are also available in here in a new interface so that you can see all of this data. And as I mentioned as well, like working towards data publication and for large data sets, we want to be able to provide the ability to download lots of point count data really quickly for folks who are doing projects at large scales, especially with lots of this published public data that's being supported by the Boreal Avian Modeling Project. Our package, WildTrax, if you hadn't heard of it, is an interface that allows you to do some pre and post processing of acoustic and camera and point count data within the system. I'm happy to note that our contributors have really increased over the last year. We have lots of folks that are sending PRs, or pull requests, sorry, that are interested in using the package and contributing to it in different ways. So it's really, really fantastic to see that community of users come together to sort of help to support and build up what we're thinking of as an R package and what we want available to folks. We've answered lots of issues and questions about it over the last year, which has been great. I love to see the interaction of the folks using the package who come across different issues and how we can help solve them. And really, this is all moving towards making these major enhancements so that we can make the package available on CRAN. So we've lessened package dependencies by about 70%. We have testing suites available for ARU, camera, and point count data, making code coverage wrap around the whole system so that we can make sure that functions are working properly before they're released to production. In the last little while, we've also been exploring additional AIs for both get and post requests. And so what this means is that within the organization interface, you can actually use a new function that was just released last week called WT Get Locations. So that instead of being on the project dashboard or on the organization dashboard, you can simply download all of that location data directly to R so you can work with it a little bit more easily. Same thing goes with visits, equipment, recordings, and image sets at the organization level. Lots of really great functions that we're working on here. And we'd love to hear your feedback as you start to use the package to see if there's any additional APIs that you'd be interested in seeing that we could make available. As far as kind of getting started and using the package, we've enhanced some of the vignettes and workflows as well, so that you can really easily just start with using a couple of functions, getting your authorization set up, and then moving into more advanced things like using acoustic pre-processing steps or looking at your classifier performance at a project level as well. And so kind of to wrap this up just a little bit, the what's next category is quite big, quite full, lots of different things we can work on. I've kind of separated this out into two different categories right now where what we really want to do is ensure that we're maintaining functionality and support for the system and ensuring that performance is at its best for the use of mass data. This is going to be a big chunk of work over the next little while so that we can make sure that, when you're looking through tens of thousands or potentially hundreds of thousands of recordings that you're getting the performance that you're looking for here. Data sovereignty is something that's come up quite a bit these days as well, in terms of ensuring that communities are having access and have the ability to ensure that their data is being used respectfully within the system and how that connects with the different portals within the Canadian world. We're exploring different ways to be able to provide that ability to both users and communities. Local context has been one of them that has come up the most often. And so we're just exploring those different data sovereignty functionalities so that we can provide the best use of the system, have ECCC and CWS folks work with communities, but also give the attribution to the communities themselves for the data that you're collecting. Of course, as I mentioned, we're always trying to incentivize people to publish their data within WildTrax, whether it be fully public or at a, perhaps a lower level that they're willing to share with comfortably within the system. We like to expand that data discover map as much as possible by providing, again, more tools and services available to be able to, allow people to publish this publicly. The other kind of pieces that we're working on were really about enhancing the public user experience. And so right now you can imagine the only place that you can really go to publicly on WildTrax is Data Discover. However, we wish to sort of enhance that public UX across the site so that you don't necessarily need to log in order to go to the project dashboard or the organization dashboard to see who's participating in the system, or projects that you're able to download publicly would be best suited within those interfaces. So just to kind of work a little bit more into the public realm so that if you are releasing your data publicly, somebody doesn't necessarily need to be a WildTrax member in order to access that data. Of course, we kind of mentioned this throughout the course of the presentation that we're looking to support some integrations for avian nest and colony monitoring. This is going to be something that we're going to do a separate engagement for the seabird folks, but we're also working with a lot of different partners here in Alberta and across the country on making sure that pileated woodpeckers and all of these species that are under the MBR legislation are being properly thought of and covered when they're under the context of using cameras to be able to take pictures of these species. The expansion into the bat realm is, of course, trying to support more legacy data, such as zero cross recordings. We have lots of different camera work that we're potentially thinking of coming down the pipeline. Mega detector, for example, which is the classifier which automatically detects things in images, is looking for an overhaul. That being said, it's still kind of in the works on the Microsoft side of things, so we're not quite sure when that's going to happen, but we're keeping an eye on making sure that we've got our mega detector updated. Image compression is, of course, another big topic there, as people are, as you can tell, uploading hundreds of millions of recording or images into the system. Whether or not they all need to be as high quality as they need to is another option that people can explore. Some more auditing capabilities as well is another big piece, making sure that species verification is doing what people need it to do so that we can provide some better information around the details of when things are changing the system, how species are being audited, what's the true positive rate of my species in my projects, etc. And some other fun things, I guess you could say, which are our species explorer. So looking towards ways of being able to interact with all of the media in the system. So if you want to see all the published public common nighthawk peents across the entire database in WildTrax, you'll be able to do so. So you can better compare it with the species that you might be tagging in a recording. Enhancing some user settings is another one so that we can provide the ability to control a little bit and have a better user experience around that. And another one that came up that's been coming up quite a bit more recently is those batch location photos. And so a more streamlined way of being able to take pictures in the field of the sites that you guys are surveying, and then having a really quick and easy way of uploading them into the system as well. So lots of different things that we're thinking about and working on. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we haven't been able to cover and talk about here, but this is where I'm looking forward to sort of hearing your feedback and seeing your perspectives on different things would be fantastic. And I put the little Dr. Seuss plug in there, but it's really all the places you can go, like all the different things that you can think about, you can do with an AirU and a camera. We're trying to help to be the home and the place for that with WildTrax. And so if you're doing something weird with an AirU and the camera, no worries. We've probably thought about it, and we're probably thinking about how we can accommodate that within the system. Of course, our info and support lines are always open. Feel free to send us an email or a question at any time with anything that you might have a question or concern about. And yeah, thanks again for all the funding and support and everything that ECCC has provided. WildTrax wouldn't be where it was without you guys. And so it's been a really fantastic experience and adventure to be able to go on and making this, the best place for open and environmental sensor data out there. So yeah, really appreciate all the support that everyone's been able to provide. And yeah, with the rest of the time today is kind of an open question and discussion period. Would happily take questions via turning your video off. I'd love to speak and talk with you, or if you want to just throw something in the chat, Sid and I will take a look at it and make sure that we're responding to all those questions. But yeah, thanks again for your time, everybody.